Hey, hello, leaders. Hey, this is Paul Grau, and welcome to Run to Your Leadership Challenges. Hey, today I want to talk about something that I heard the other day while watching a football game, and it was the announcer said that the game was an instant classic. Now, that got me to thinking about, you know, is there such a thing as an instant classic? You know, I mean, if you look up the definition of classic, you basically will find a definition, and this is from the Webster Dictionary, I think, and it's called, let's see, definition of classic. 1A, it says serving as a standard of excellence, of recognized value. And it says, example, classic literary works, a classic case study on hysteria. All right, then it also says historically memorable, classic battle. Notice because of special literary or historical associations. You know, and there's some other stuff, but here's a definition. Another definition. It says a work of enduring excellence. And the example in a sentence says his manual of biology has become a classic among scientists, and he had already become a classic many years before his death. An authoritative source is also a definition of classic. A typical or perfect example, a traditional event. An example is a football classic. So, if you were to compare all that to yourself as a leader, would you be considered a classic leader? Would you be considered a great example? Would you be considered something that is serving as the standard of excellence as a leader or a manager, being recognized of value, characterized, by your excellence? When when I heard the term instant classic, I thought it was kind of like an oxymoron. It's like, can a classic be instant? Because I thought a classic was, over time it became a classic, but not according to the definition. So, when we're talking about instant classics and classics as a leader, think back of who you would determine to be a classic leader that you've worked for. What were some of the traits that made him or her stand out as a classic? And, you know, how many classic leaders have you worked for? What were their traits? Were they classics because they were based on their productivity or their profits or their retention or their charismatic, allure to them? Can you have all these things? Do you have what it takes for your people to call you a classic leader? And I don't know. Can we be an instant classic to our people? I think we can. And I think only over time, people will look back and say, man, that was a classic leader. That was a leader that you wanted to work for. That was a leader who stood up for us. That was a leader who had our back no matter what. That was a leader that if somebody was coming after us, they would stand in the way. They would bridge that gap. They wouldn't let anybody through to the team. The team had to go through that leader to get to us. When I think about great leaders, that's kind of what I think about. A leader that you can talk to, a leader that you can go to when no matter what. A leader that was vulnerable and admitted when they were right and wrong and weren't afraid to admit when they were wrong, weren't afraid to give other people credit. You see a lot of leaders that take credit for everything. And then you see others that they don't need to be called great because their greatness just comes from their actions just speak for themselves. They are undoubtedly classics. So I'm going to end it there today, but just think about it. Are you a classic? What makes a classic in your mind? What makes a classic to your people? What do they see as a standard of excellence? How does that look in their eyes? Because what they see as a standard of excellence is probably different than what we would consider to be a standard of excellence. And maybe we should ask that question. So today, it's a Friday. So before the weekend, maybe that's a good discussion to just have with your people. Have them think about it. Ask them that question. It's a good discussion starter. Ask them, hey, what makes a classic? What makes a classic leader in your eyes? What is the standard of excellence when it comes to leadership? All great questions, great discussions that you can have with your people to end the week and or start the week off on a Monday morning. Hey, have a great weekend. Come on back tomorrow for the weekend edition. And until then, as always, run to your challenges. We'll see you.